What is good, my kings, queens, and everything in betweens? My voice is recovering from, me being sick, so apologies for that. But I did want to do a post commentary for this video because I feel like HDarknell is one of those bosses that kind of just deserves it, to be honest. So this is my very first real attempt at trying to solo HDarknell. I never tried it before, but I really did have the confidence built up to try and solo him because every time I fought this boss, I would genuinely walk away thinking that that felt really easy. It felt really doable. And so I decided to take it upon myself to see if I'm talking out of my ass because I usually run it in a party, or if I really do have what it takes to get this boss done. And you'll notice that I did opt to go with Door and Wild Hunter before going into this boss. Originally, I wanted to get an Onyx Apple as well for my first attempt, but you guys will see that Door actually already got broken, which is completely fine. Like, if I only wanted Door as a safety net, but I was not relying on Door at all. And so the fact that it blew up immediately, I'm like, okay, cool. So it's just a regular run. Because out of all my times going into Darknell, I've never lost a life upon entry. And so for it to happen when I actually had Door, it was like, whatever, normally if I lost a life, like if I had lost that life without having Door, I would have just immediately left and came back in to have all 5 lives. But Door just pretty much meant that we didn't need to restart the run right away. So we're still chilling at 5 lives. We did get our burst off pretty well there, which can sometimes be a little bit difficult because, still getting used to buffing up and using the origin and stuff like that. I will go ahead and include my gear, not my gear, but my stats and hexamatrix for anyone interested at the end of the video. But for now, we're going to be just kind of talking about what's going on in the video as I'm watching it live. I decided to actually play the boss fight a little bit slow while also still trying to have some good uptime while Demon Awakening is still going. So I'm mostly playing safely and only chipping him when I feel like I'm pretty much very able to do so without putting myself in any awful type of situation or danger. So that's kind of what we're doing for the most part. Something I struggled with early on in learning Darknell is actually his teleport, like when he disappears off the map. So that's the first death here, real death of the run, and it was a little bit unfortunate. I was shaking my head a little bit because I did have Dark Metamorphosis up, and because it did look like a lot was going on in that corner and he was about to attack, I should have just procced Dark Metamorphosis to avoid that death, and that's something that I was really upset about. I remember live in the run. I didn't let it hit me too hard. I'm like, okay, we're at 80%, we have 4 lives left, all we have to do is do 20% per life, which we're currently at the pace of, and we'll barely scrape out of this, right? Of course, I was considering that the 20% is also with my origin, but, give or take, right? So I was still keeping a level-headed mind, and we're iframed here because of the resistance link. And you'll also notice that I did milk my death timer, just so that my cooldowns could come up as much as possible. And luckily, it brought us right into our ability to burst right again. And so we go ahead and do that for a quick, 5%? And of course, with Demon Awakening, we're still going to be bursting for roughly 40 seconds or so. But yeah, so I was talking about his teleport and how I struggled with that early on in learning this boss fight. But honestly, I've gotten a lot better at keeping track of him with peripherals if needed, while also looking at my character and seeing what's happening around my character to then, dodge accordingly or act accordingly to, stay healthy and stay alive. So the good thing is that I don't know if it's because of doing some of the later bosses like Black Mage, Kalos, Saren, but I do feel like my skills with, playing the class are sharpening and they are getting better, and it's one of those things where it's just practice and repetition does, improve your skill, whatever it is in life, whether it's, at a particular game or a particular skill or trade, whatever it is, practice is key. So using my iframes like that one right there, the Raven Storm, because I knew I was in a tricky position, things like that, really good to obviously utilize them. The Demon Slayer, I should be utilizing those things, but aside from that, I also learned that in this boss fight, what helps so much is every time he's about to do an attack, if you can see him doing that attack, just get moving, keep moving. In this boss fight, staying still will get you killed faster than, I don't know, bugs flying on a highway. I don't know what the proper analogy is, but Keep moving, because as soon as he does his attack or preps his attack, that's when he summons the 2 to 3 minions to disrupt your movement or impair your movement by some means, or just do a ton of damage to you. So yeah, staying moving is what I found to really be another one of those keys for me. And right here we got kind of lucky. We were already taking damage from a ton of minions on us, so we didn't die, but we end up dying right after anyway, because it might look like I was, you know, like absolutely just kicking rocks right there, but I actually kept getting impaired movement from a bunch of different things going on. So I couldn't jump, and every time I tried to go left, I'd be reverse moved, and when I try to actually correct my movement to adjust, I would be unreverse moved. And you guys would know what this is like if you guys have ever had that happen to you in like something like Chaos Pier. But it was very frustrating, and we ended up losing that life, where we ended up getting lucky at first because of the minions, and then the minions end up being the reason why we die right after. So either way, we died, and we were at like 60%, so we're on pace for our 20% per life. And yeah, we got another burst off, and so far it's looking decent at best. It's looking clearable, especially with Origin coming up in 25 seconds ish from now. That's going to be another huge burst for us. So right here I decided to iframe because I did want to get Dark Metamorphosis off, as well as not have to move from this position, so I could continue attacking him with Demon Lash. Alright, and now we're just playing survival mode again, where we're keeping our distance so that we can pretty much just dodge what's around us and not worry too much about what he's doing. Again, another great tactic for soloing this boss, in my personal opinion. We see an opening, so we're going to go ahead and get a little bit of damage in while dodging most of the major, pretty much, you know, components to this fight. And just going back and forth, keeping an eye on him. Again, staying alive, staying safe. But yeah, so FMA is super easy to dodge. A lot of this is very relevant to Demon Slayers specifically, because we have glide and we can fly and stuff like that. I know other classes have other, you know, perks and things that suck for the class as well, like, you know, thieves being able to dark sight, etc. And now that was a last millisecond arrow that I saw coming to me, so I quickly jumped over that. If you guys don't know, the arrow in the HDarknell boss fight, not only does it do a ton of damage, I think exactly like half your health, if not more than half, but it also prevents you from jumping for like 3 to 4 seconds, so dodging that's always good. But here we get our big burst off, Origin, and yeah, let's see how it goes. So one thing I like that I did this time, and I'm like, oh, I should do this more often, is I actually ended up using Demon Bane, which is our burst, but also a very long iframe. I used that for a little bit after our Origin bind wore off, and it's good because it's free damage without having to bind him. And then as soon as we finished our Demon Bane burst, we bound him with our actual bind, so we had a ton of extra time to do free damage to him with our Demon Lash. And here it was a little bit messy, but I did iframe there. That's the only reason why I didn't die there, is because we did use Ravenstorm. So I know you can't hear it audibly, but if you look carefully at my buff bar, you'll notice that I used my iframe there to stay alive and avoid all of that damage that would have instantly killed us. Another iframe, we get stuck here, and we got hit right before that FMA hit us. So kind of lucky there, but these are kind of things that you can expect to happen in this boss fight, because there's so many things always hitting you and trying to attack you that sometimes it ends up working to your benefit, as long as you're able to get out of that situation shortly thereafter. It saves your life. So another FMA to the left, no biggie, go behind him, dodge what we can. But yeah, I'm proud of myself for being able to well, do what you kind of need to in this boss fight, and that's essentially dodge a bunch of shit at the same time. There, I don't know how I didn't take more damage than I did there. I don't know what exactly I was thinking, but I was standing still for a bit. Maybe my movement was impaired. I don't remember. Alright, here he's doing FMA. I'm going to try and blink all the way up to the top so that we just don't get hit by that, because I wasn't sure if it hit otherwise. Things like that, just to be a little extra safe, and because we have the time to do it, why not? So we got hit by the arrow there, which was unfortunate, but it was because I was trying to buff up during that time. And we're fully buffed now. And here's our next burst. So it's really good being a 2-minute class for this reason, because it feels like it's so soon that my burst comes up, especially with Demon Awakening lasting as long as it does, like a minute or something, like 65 seconds if we want to be specific. But because it lasts so long, it's like, okay, only a little bit longer till my next burst, which is another big chunk off his health. And that's honestly how I was thinking about it. So we're making pretty good time. We're 10 minutes into the fight. We have 3 lives left, and things are going pretty swimmingly so far. So we'll see what happens and how we end up clearing, or how we end up scuffing the run so hard that we end up failing altogether. So, and that is the scary thing about doing these, right? You put your sweat and tears into a boss fight and really try and do your best to survive. You're in there for a hot 10-15 minutes. And then, you know, you might choke at the end and just completely, yeah, pretty much like that. So there, I was playing very poorly. I was shaking my head again because I had Dark Metamorphosis up. And I'm like, yeah, I could have lived that, and there was no reason for me to die there. I don't think I had either iframe. I don't think both of them were on cooldown. I think I could have lived there because I remember being upset about that death. But yeah, maybe my iframes were on a cooldown for a tiny bit more. But either way, we're milking death timers. I'm looking at that Demon Awakening timer. I'm looking at that Origin timer, and I'm like, okay, victory is almost near. We have 2 lives. And yeah, so let's just do what we've been doing. I literally was telling myself this mentally. I'm like, let's just do what we've been doing, and everything will be okay. So one of the good things about dodging his teleport is, and don't quote me on this, but I feel like as long as you're not on the floor, you don't take damage. So like, you could technically, I think theoretically, just jump it as long as you're not like right beside him where he teleports to. I think you'll be okay. And here I just eat a ton of damage knowing that I'm gonna Ravenstorm right after. I almost took too much though, to the point where it was lethal. Thankfully it wasn't, and we actually got pushed out of the teleport there. So I guess, I don't know if that one was necessarily lucky, because if we weren't stunned there, we would have just glided out. So yeah, either way, it is what it is. And here we get a crisp burst off. And here, no, a crisp burst my ass. I was so pissed off because I fat fingered page down instead of page up. And our burst skill is a key hold skill. So because I only tapped it, it ended up wasting the entire skill, which is so unfortunate. But I'm like, it's okay, Origin is coming up, you know, we got this in the bag still. But I fumbled so badly there because I fat fingered when I don't think there was too much going on. Like, I could have taken my time and really made sure I clicked that button properly like I do every other time. Like, I never fat finger that stuff anymore, so I was really like kind of like confused as to why that happened. And I do remember there being a reason, but it's not a good enough reason to have something like that happen in such a crucial moment of a crucial boss fight. So yeah, I like trying to go behind those mages before they summon the ball, because then you don't take damage. Iframe here, perfect opportunity to just dodge a bunch of damage while still getting some hits in. And yeah, we're just kind of moving around, utilizing our glide. And here I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna get there, I'm gonna iframe it. We have Dark Metamorphosis sub, play calm, cool, and you know, it's a free iframe. So that's how that worked out. But because we scuffed our last Demon Bane so bad, it does mean that we're gonna have to go through another burst rotation, whereas otherwise he would have been dead by now, because Demon Bane would have done, you know, pretty much 4 or 5% damage. So yeah, made the boss fight a little bit harder than I needed to, but either way, it's looking like it'll be about a 15-minute run, especially with Origin coming up, our full burst pretty much coming up right now. There's no way we can chalk it so hard, I think, at this point, to where we actually fumble the bag. So yeah, let's get buffed up and see what happens. Alright, and that is our HDarknell clear. First real attempt, so I'm proud about that. And we had a ton more bursts in the tank because we scuffed up so bad that, you know, we shouldn't have even been in the fight at that point, but it is what it is. Darknell's a tanky boy. He is a tanky boy. And it's good to know that I can do him without Door and without Wild Hunter buff. I didn't use my Ursus buff, so that would kind of give me the Wild Hunter buff that I had in this video. Except it would have lasted the whole fight, so even better. But yeah, now we're just putting our hands together and praying for a CFE. Unfortunately, no CFE, but there's always the possibility of getting a Roar 4 to make this boss even faster. Next time, what did we get? Totaling 4. Unfortunately, that's one of the only rings I currently already have at 4, if you guys saw in my inventory there, so quite unfortunate that that was the ring we got, but it's cool to see a level 4 ring coming from a well-fought and hard-earned box. That's going to be all for this time, guys. Stay tuned for future videos and more Demon Slayer content as well as progression, and I'll see y'all there. Peace.